Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. I've just recorded a video in the just chatting style, not a reading, on the topic of codependent situationships. And if you're interested in checking that out, it'll be the newest upload on my channel. And now I'm going to do a little companion reading on codependent situationships to maybe give you some guidance on if you're interested in what your codependent situationship partner is thinking about you right now, or finding some guidance on the situation. Alright, let's draw a few cards. So first, let's draw a card to represent you in the situation. Ooh, the Empress. Okay, so I see you as someone who's very fertile and very ready for love. And when I say fertile, I don't mean like literal fertility, unless that is something that's relating to your case. But I feel like it's more like you have just cultivated this really strong sense of self, of this beautiful world, that when people look at you, it's almost like they're looking into this beautifully cultivated garden, that you just have such a strong sense of peace in yourself. And it's like they want to take a step into that garden to get some of that tranquility. So I feel like you're someone who really attracts in this sort of loving attention, where it's not necessarily like people see you and think, oh, this is someone who wants a codependent situationship. They want to play some ego games. Like, no, I think people, when they see you, they understand that you're looking for something deeper and more peaceful, and you're really looking for a sort of love that will blossom over time, and you're looking to cultivate something much deeper and much more honest and healing for the both of you. Alright, now let's draw a card to represent the person you might be dealing with. Ooh, the Chariot. Okay, so I feel like this is someone who has maybe just begun their journey in a way where, yeah, there's definitely this feeling of being a counterpart, but I think that it could be that the reason your codependent situationship didn't work out is that this person might have been at a kind of pivotal point in their life where maybe they felt like romance was not a priority for them, or that it wasn't something they could really take on because they've kind of just set out on this journey of self-discovery. And so I think this could be pointing you as well to something you could be doing right now in this time of, like, if you feel like romance isn't working out for you, it could be a great opportunity to really work on yourself and have that time in quiet contemplation with yourself to figure out what you want and who you really are. And with this person that you're dealing with, I get the sense that they could be someone who is maybe a little bit more ambitious at the start of your codependent situationship, or maybe they thought that they were ready for your level of love, but I think that once the ball got rolling, so to speak, they kind of realized, like, oh, this is a lot more intense or a lot more serious than I had expected, and this could be why it evolved into situationship territory, where they realized they weren't ready to develop that really strong, lasting foundation that you wanted. And this is someone who's kind of always on the move too, with the Chariot card. It's like on wheels, right? So this could be someone who maybe didn't have any expectations for commitment in the past, that maybe they had sworn it off entirely. But I think when they met you, they sort of realized, like, oh, the possibility of committing to a loving relationship could be something that I want. But I think that they were just in the mode when they met you of not really fully being able to realize that possibility with you. But this person is driving forwards, and I feel like they are on the move, where maybe there's this feeling of stepping up in order to be able to have this sort of real relationship with you, where I also think you're moving on, or you're both moving on from this relationship style that you might have had in the past. It's like if either one or both of you had struggled with the codependent situationship, I really get the sense that you're moving forward, and you're not going to be going back to that more unhealed version of what a romantic relationship could look like. Ooh, and we're getting the Two of Cups. And as you can see, this is the divine union of masculine and feminine here, with this snakes ascending up the spine. Quite interesting. So I do get this feeling of this coming together, of being each other's counterparts in a way, and of there being something blossoming from the two of you coming together. So I feel like maybe why this felt like a codependent situationship could have been that this person might have awakened something within you of maybe this deeper capacity for love than you were previously aware of, where you understood now the real value that you can get out of an intimate relationship with another person, where maybe in the past you had only dabbled in it, or you'd had these romantic seeming relationships where it felt like there was some sense of companionship, but you didn't really have that passionate love connection in the past. And I feel like when you met this person, because of having this passionate connection, it almost felt like you were willing to sacrifice certain things or compromise on them in order to create something with this person. Like there was this sense of urgency where it was like, this new feeling that has been awakened in me is so important, and I want to hold on to it, and I want to see what the possibility of this love could be, that I'm willing to compromise on certain things, right? And this is where it turns it into a situationship, because you hadn't expressed yourself with the fullest integrity to your convictions, to a real sense of wanting something healthy, where you might have prioritized the relationship over building something healthy, where you really just felt like it's important that I get close to this person, and more important that I get close to this person than building a healthy foundation. And this is where it turns into unhealthy situationship territory, right? So you have the Queen of Wands. So I'm getting the feeling that maybe one or both of you is very independent, and what I'm getting is almost like hyper independence, where especially with I'm getting the black cat here, but then as you can see behind this figure there's the two lions coming together. So I almost get the sense that maybe part of why this evolved into a codependent situationship could have been that because you're both so independent, there could have been this inability to really fully admit that that you needed to be open with your feelings, that in a romantic situation that this other person could actually help you heal certain things, or maybe you held back a little bit on the most honest expression of your feelings. Like what I really get the sense of is you're someone who has always tried to stay strong in their life, right? And this was something that you really associated with like a core character trait of something you were proud of, or something that you had felt was necessary in order to carry you forward in some ways, where you had kind of almost been bottled up in yourself in a way where you couldn't fully open yourself up to another person. And where this could turn into codependency is almost this feeling of accepting each other's closed off, guarded nature, where neither of you were able to really confront the depth of your emotions or feelings in the most direct and honest way possible, so that it formed into something where you could kind of both be okay sitting with each other's unhealed selves, where, like I mentioned, you were both maybe compromising in some ways or not being fully honest, but because you both were quite guarded or felt that you had to take on all your emotions by yourself, that you couldn't fully meet this person. And so I feel like this is something you might need to work through if you're trying to get this deeper level of relationship, where instead of being okay with this codependent feeling of just sitting with each other's wounded selves, but using romantic love as a band-aid to cover up these wounds, of maybe coming out of your shell a little bit more and meeting this person as a really equal partner, as a partner in crime, and working through the mystery of these traumas that you've incurred and the mystery of love itself. And I think that once you start to let down your guard a little, this could really help you. Okay, and we're getting the World. Okay, so I feel like there is this feeling of like expansiveness, of finding your place in the world, and I think where this can be really confusing is this feeling of what is one supposed to do in romance, right? Because we understand that our romantic partner shapes our day-to-day experience so much, and this is why it's such a great commitment, is understanding that if this is love and a lasting connection, that this person is going to shape the whole outcome of your life and your financial place in the world, right? They always say that your partner is like the most important financial decision you can make in your life, or just your day-to-day emotional life, like your domestic feeling, where like, if you're with someone who doesn't talk a lot and you're in a really quiet home, this could be something you like, or it could be something you don't like. So understanding that building a relationship with someone is going to affect the outcomes of your life and just who you are as a person, in a sense. And where this can be kind of overwhelming is this feeling of like, am I ready to commit to that? And it could have been coming from both sides, or maybe more from this other person or more from you, where it's this feeling of like being willing to commit to something and see things through to their conclusion. Like where the situationship emerges is someone who's not fully ready to commit to building anything real. They kind of want to just bounce around through these romantic connections in order to, like, again, that band-aid feeling. rather than actually confront the fact that there is some sense of permanence in their life that could be possible. And it's always so scary to make these decisions. And like I mentioned, if there's someone who's maybe more in their chariot energy rather than in their empress energy, where they haven't fully cultivated their garden and they're more kind of on the move at a certain pivotal point in their life, it could be really hard to put down an anchor in that way and say, like, okay, I'm now making a decision in my life that is going to ground me to something, which is what a romantic relationship can be in some cases. Because I think when you kind of leave open the possibility of, like, this is just for a little while, this is not anything permanent, that's where the situationship emerges, because then you're both in this feeling of almost being unsettled or a little bit wary or a little nervous, of feeling like, when is this going to end? And then this creates just a sort of tension in the dynamic that can be really uncomfortable or unpleasant and lead to miscommunication or a lack of communication. So it really is this feeling of, if this is a connection that you want to last, of being able to put down those roots in some ways, but also giving yourself the grace to know that roots take time, right? Like the tree grows over the course of 50 to 100 years, right? And so too does love. It's not something that can just be captured like lightning in a bottle, right? You can't just hold on to that initial spark of love and just keep that going forever, right? You do have to put down some roots in some meaningful way and allow this to grow. But the guidance I'm getting on this is that it doesn't necessarily have to be something you do right away, right? Like, I think where people struggle a lot is that if you're in the codependent situationship, this is kind of the beginning of a relationship, or maybe a relationship that has been on again, off again, but again, it's still only in those beginning stages. It hasn't really developed into anything greater. So I feel like what you could do, just mentally, is orient yourself towards thinking of this as something that could grow over the course of time. So rather than just swearing this connection off entirely and being like, this, I'm blocking this person, or we're never going to see each other again, or just pining over what could have been, is to maybe just open yourself up to the possibility that, maybe you guys aren't so good right now. It's not the healthy, loving relationship that you want, but if you give it a year, give it 5 years, you never know what could grow out of it. And so I think that if you do have this really strong feeling of this being a loving connection, is to be okay with the fact that it's not going to happen right now, and in fact it's more likely that it's going to be something that'll develop over the course of years. I think if you want something instantly right now, that is speaking to you wanting the situationship, right? And if you want a real loving relationship that's going to grow over time, is this openness of, maybe we both need to go back and heal some of our own wounds and come back to the table refreshed and ready to build something healthy from the ground up. And so I feel like if you have been in the situation where your codependent situationship ended in some ways, or you're not talking or something like that, is to actually see that as a good sign, because it means you weren't willing to stay in something unhealthy. You were willing to say, you know what, I do need to work on myself, take a step back, figure things out, and just enjoy my own company for a little bit. And I think that's really the best thing that you could do in this situation, is instead of going back again and again as this version of your unhealed self and trying to do the same thing over and over and just incurring more pain, realizing something needs to change, right? If I don't want a codependent situationship anymore, I need to do something differently. And the thing that you need to do differently is to stop looking for this romantic love as a band-aid for your wounds. It's to face your wounds head on and be okay with sitting in your own presence and being with yourself. All right, so we've got the Ace of Pentacles coming out here, and we have the Six of Pentacles. All right, so I'm getting the sense that in some ways there is like a blessing in this, and like blessing in disguise is what I'm getting, where I feel like you might have thought like, oh, this situation made me sad. I'm sad because I really liked this person and it didn't work out, and this is just a bad thing in my life, and this person was a bad presence in my life. But I think what you could really do is turn this into a wonderful healing experience of just the gratitude for the fact that this person showed you things in yourself that were unhealed, right? And I know it's hard to admit, but if you are crashing out over a codependent situationship, it means that there's something in you that's not healed. And this is really the message that's being delivered to you, is that it's really important And the real urgency here is to get in touch with yourself. Be okay with being on your own and thriving in your own presence and witnessing yourself in your entirety, of feeling held in your own presence so that you don't need someone else to hold you. And I think this is really the message that's being delivered to you. And it's really important that you show some gratitude for the fact that you were able to see this, right? Because I think that if you had not been able to realize this, you would have been getting caught up in these unhealthy relationships, and maybe it could have even lasted for life, right? Like, you are so very blessed that at whatever age you are now, you understand that you can label something as codependent or unhealthy or toxic and say, I'm not going to do that again. Like, that is such a blessing, rather than going about thinking that it's okay to be in a toxic relationship and spending 30 years of your life on that or more. And yeah, like, it's really just wonderful that you've gotten to the point of loving yourself enough to say, I'm not going to do something unhealthy, and I'm going to choose me and take a step back from a situation that is just not working right now. All right, we've got the moon. Ooh, okay. So I feel like the sun is setting, right? Like, I feel like maybe when you were developing this codependent situationship, there was this feeling of that being like a time of a lot of activity. I think, yeah, like a lot of passion. You're probably seeing each other a lot, really getting lost in each other, or doing a lot of things together. But then I feel like right now where you're at is that the sun is set and it's kind of dark and quiet. So yeah, I'm really getting the sense that maybe you might not be talking to this person, or things have slowed down, or it's just the situationship. It's kind of this on again, off again. Maybe you're not talking on a regular basis. But the sense that I'm getting is like nighttime is the time for silence and contemplation. And, it's actually perfect that this has happened. Where I know it's hard if you really enjoyed that initial period of getting really close to someone to be okay with being by yourself again. But I think it really is such a blessing of being able to appreciate the little things in life as well. Of just like not necessarily needing some romantic passion to make your days exciting, but being able to look out at the moon and the stars and really feel connected to the earth and just being on your own and really thriving in that. But I think at the same time, there is this feeling of kinship that you have with this other person, where maybe you feel like even when you're apart, and even if things are not good between the two of you, that you're still walking the same path in a sense. Right, as you can see, the path is coming out into the distance. And also this feeling of howling at the moon together, where I think there is this really reassuring and gentle feeling when you remember that even if you might be apart, when you both go outside and you look up at the moon, you're still looking at the same moon, you're still under the same sky. So I'm getting this feeling of like feeling connected to this person even when you're apart. And I really think this speaks to the depth of the love that you have for this person and the compassion and goodwill that you have towards them. Where I think, like I mentioned, there was this maybe a possibility for feelings of resentment to grow sometimes in these sort of situations, just because, obviously there is an unpleasant quality to having your wounds triggered and having this perfect vision of love disappearing before your eyes, and then having to be by yourself and be like, what the heck was that? But I think that there is almost a sublime quality to it, when you can understand that, this person has their own wounds and you have your own wounds. And yeah, like being able to find the love within that rather than settle into this feelings of cynicism and, this being a battle of the egos, but rather this being like a testament to the strength that love can have, of being this glowing, guiding light within you, where even if things are not going so good in the world or in the material reality, at the end of the day, you always have your love, and this is something that you can cultivate for yourself and towards other people as well. All right, let's draw a card to say what this person is thinking about you right now, because I'm sure you want to know. All right. Ooh, the Magician. Okay, I think that this person sees you as someone who is very powerful. Like, you're kind of someone who has it all. You kind of have all the answers, and you're very capable. But at the same time, I feel like maybe you haven't fully worked your magic yet in the world, where I feel like you're kind of, yeah, you're at the beginning stages where it's like you have everything you need to really begin your journey, but you're kind of still at the drawing board, so to speak, where you're kind of just figuring things out now. And I also think with the magic, the magician card here, I think you cast your spell on this person a little bit, where they might be very intrigued by you and they just want to learn more about you and maybe uncover your mysteries. And I feel like that you're a very intriguing presence in this person's life. All right. Ooh, we have the Two of Swords. Okay, and this is this feeling of making a decision, but also being a little bit blinded in some ways, where I feel like this person is really at this crossroads of feeling like they need to make a choice, and this choice would be choosing you. But I feel like there is almost this kind of false sense of choice, where especially if there is this love connection, it's not something that could be done mentally, of like, okay, working out all this person's flaws and benefits, and I think they might be really considering you as an option at this point, of just like thinking of you in this way that is just not compatible with love, right? When it's love, you know it's love, and I feel like you already got to this point because you are already in your Empress energy of understanding like, okay, this is the person that I want. This is the loving relationship that I want. But I think that this person is still a little bit caught up in this false sense of choice and maybe not understanding that you don't necessarily get to choose who you fall in love with. It just happens that way. Justice. Ooh, okay. So there's this feeling of, so yeah, this person trying to be really balanced and make a decision, where I'm really getting this feeling of there being they're way too caught up in their thoughts right now, of just trying to figure out how to approach you and how to really balance their feelings of passion and adoration for you with this kind of healthy way of going about things, where like I feel like there is something about this person where they want to do things right, but I feel like this could almost be an obstacle to your connection because they might not be willing to meet themselves with a level of grace and compassion that you've met yourself with, where because they have the feeling of doing things right, but then they also might be a little bit hard on themselves, of this feeling like they'll never be able to do things right. It's almost this feeling of paralysis, of where they feel like they could never approach you as they are now, just because they just feel like they wouldn't be able to do things right now. And like I mentioned, this could be a really good thing. It could just mean that you need to do some more healing on your own before you're able to come together. And it can be really frustrating sometimes, where you feel like you're almost in this feeling of stasis, of being at a crossroads, and just being at the beginning of something and really wanting that magical quality to come back, of like when you're together it really does feel like magic, but understanding that patience is the highest virtue, and even if you understand that this person is probably thinking about you quite a lot, is to not worry about it. Don't worry about what they're thinking about you, right? You're doing your own thing, you're thriving on your own, you're in your Empress energy in your garden, and they're on their own path as well. And just having some patience and just grace, right? The most important thing. Just understanding that if this is love, you love them, right? There's no need to be having these feelings of harshness about, like, oh, I just wish they would pick me already. Like, don't worry about it, okay? And let's see, let's pick out a couple cards on what this person wants you to know right now. Oh, the Ace of Cups. Okay, I feel like this person wants you to know that they are absolutely overflowing with emotion when it comes to you. And I think that if this was something that you wasn't previously present in your relationship, it will be something that'll be present in the future. Or I think maybe in the previous incarnation of your relationship, when it was a codependent situationship, if you wish to call it that, there was this feeling of maybe the emotions being held back a little bit. Like I mentioned, is like not being able to face your feelings with the fullest amount of honesty that you need, because you were compromising in some ways to maybe put on the show of being like, oh, I'm the perfect partner, I don't have all these emotions. But I feel like this person has understood that it's really important to be fully honest and share things with you. And you know what? Maybe they were even crying about you a little bit, is what I'm getting with this overflowing cup here. What else would they like you to know? Oh, the Ten of Cups. That's so beautiful. And it's this rainbow of this kind of a new beginning, and also this feeling of like a childlike wonder, where you can see there's the couple there as adults, but there's also the child counterparts there. And this could speak to a feeling of family, where maybe this person almost feels like you have this almost familial connection, where it's like this sense of chosen family. Like maybe they understand that what they want out of a domestic life is something that you could present to them. But I think there's also this feeling of like your relationship helps them get in touch with that wounded inner child. And I feel like your nurturing nature of like, what we pulled the Empress card here, is that your nurturing nature has really helped them get in touch with their inner child and some of those deeper wounds that they have. And I feel like this is something that really is what makes your connection so beautiful, is I think you can both be nurturing to each other's inner childs and help each other face your wounds, not in this way of them being something that'll control your life, or with any sort of bitterness or guilt about when you've acted out due to your wounds, but this really nurturing sense that people would offer a child of you wouldn't yell at a little kid for doing something wrong because they just didn't understand that it was wrong. And I think you are both on that same level of having that really strong sense of compassion for yourself and for each other. All right, and let's pull maybe one more card on what this person wants you to know. Ooh, okay, we have the Three of Wands. Okay, and there's a figure who has their back turned, and they're looking at a little bit of a dry desert expanse, and they're on their own. Okay, so I feel like this person wants you to know that they're fighting a battle right now, and it's a really individual battle that they have to face on their own. And it's going to be a little bit of a long, hard fight here is what I'm getting, is like there is this drought in a sense. You helped this person get in touch with their emotions in a way that maybe without you, it's almost like things have dried up a little bit, where like I think they are having these strong emotions in this time where you're apart, but there is this trouble that they're having in translating them that I think was maybe kind of some of the magic that you have, is your ability to put emotions and feelings into words and make people feel seen and feel witnessed. And I think that this is something that you really did for this person. And I think that the lack of your presence in their life, of being able to help them really feel seen or put their feelings into words, could be something that they're struggling with right now, is they kind of miss your magic touch in a way, of this way that when you came together, it was like your problems almost kind of vaporized in a way. They turned into a rainbow, just because it's almost like instead of having these wounds where it really controls your life and carries on your whole direction of your day, of like unpleasant emotions that these may produce, I feel like it's almost like you're the type of person who can touch that wound and just make it disappear. And I feel like it really does relate to your ability to translate difficult emotions into words. All right, and let's pull a few cards on guidance on the situation. All right, we have the Nine of Pentacles, and this is, very similar to the Empress card here. It's like you're in your garden, is you're relaxing in this place of solitude, yes, but also contemplation and just peace within yourself, really. And so I feel like what this card is trying to tell you to do is just chill out. Like, just sit down, take a deep breath, and enjoy the garden that you've cultivated, right? Like what I mentioned, is what makes you so appealing to this person is the fact that you've cultivated this beautiful way of being, of inhabiting yourself in such a natural and loving way that it just speaks to the fact that you're someone who just cares about yourself so much, and you have such a strong sense of self that you just want to share with the world, and you really love to exist in your own world that you've created, and this really beautiful person that you've become, and that's just something you embrace so wholly. And the guidance that this card is giving you is to enjoy that, right? It's lovely to share that with another person, yes, but remember that you have primarily cultivated this garden for yourself. And so you should really enjoy your time spent there and be able to appreciate all the fruits of your labor when it comes to having worked on yourself and your emotional wounds, and really relish that feeling of like, okay, I've gotten to this point in my journey where I can just rest and I can take a deep breath, and just doing that on your own is really the best thing you can do at this time. And maybe someone will want to come and visit your garden when they see just how peaceful and cozy it is. All right, and let's draw one more card on what you can do in this situation. Oh, the Three of Swords. And this is a heart being stabbed by three swords right now. And I think that what you can do in this situation is to acknowledge your heartbreak, this codependent situation stuff, whatever you want to call it, it's really hard to navigate. And, it can sometimes feel like we're really alone in this. Like, this feeling of love that is so strong that then becomes this feeling of pain that is so strong. And it's like, it almost feels silly to try and talk about it, of like, people might be really dismissive and be like, oh, there's plenty of fish in the sea, just move on, it's not that big of a deal. But I think what's really important for you right now is to witness that pain you're feeling and understand, like, this isn't just the type of connection that you can throw away and pretend that it never happened. Like, it is something that has clearly stirred something in you. And these feelings that you've had for this other person that are at a depth like you've never experienced before, these feelings are very important too. And it's really hard for you to go through this heartbreak, is essentially what I'm getting from this card here. But really to be able to appreciate it as such, and not lie to yourself and say, like, I never had feelings for this person anyway, it was just a situationship, and like, they didn't bring anything good to my life, or they're just a write-off, they're just trash, whatever. Like, no, just be honest with yourself here, right? Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you're never going to be honest with a person in a relationship. And you can be honest and say, I really did love this person, or maybe I still do, or it really hurts to be apart from this person, and just be able to say that with honesty, but not get caught up ruminating in it, right? Because here we see the rainstorm in the background, right? You don't necessarily need to just steep in these negative emotions, but it's important that you at least get them out there and witness them and put truth behind them. And in a way, this will help you move on from it a little bit, right? Because I think if you're in this feeling of like this adversarial feeling of like, this person hurt me and they're a bad person, that's when you really stew in those negative emotions, and it really carries this weight in your chest, in your heart, or in your stomach, and it can really negatively impact your days. But as soon as you witness that emotion and say, you know what, I'm feeling heartbroken right now, but life goes on, I'm in my garden, that's when you can move past it and just enjoy your life, because that's really all you have, is your own unique perspective and your own company. It's the most important thing. So choose to love yourself in this time of going through codependent situationship hell, and know that love is out there and it does get better. Just take a deep breath, it's all going to be okay. Alright, well, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.